It's official. Video games are the biggest entertainment medium on the planet.
Thousands of titles.
Millions of players.
Billions of dollars.
But that's not important, because it's not the big numbers that make gaming great.
It's the experience.
You already know that, and so do we.
This isn't another show just trying to justify gaming. What's there to justify? It's awesome.
It is.
No, we're here to cut through the noise.
And speak from our hearts.
About the games that we love.
And even those that we don't.
Because we love games just as much as you.
From Wii Sports
To esports.
From the platformer
To the puzzler, all are welcome in this video game nation. To some, it's the god sim that proved that heart, charm and good design will always trump graphics and hype. To others, it's Lego for people too lazy to Lego. Minecraft is the game where the only limits are your imagination, resourcefulness and the fact your name is Steve. Plus, it's the most relaxing game ever to star a pickaxe.
Minecraft gives the player two choices, either be a castaway and struggle for life in a world of happy days, yummy pigs, deadly nights and hissing creepers, or build for pleasure as the architect of anything you want. And I do mean anything. Provided you're willing to put in the hours and don't mind it looking like it was drawn in the original Mario Paint, Minecraft will let you construct your whole world, brick by brick by brick.
This is a game that doesn't need a story, it just has a situation and a look, which makes it incredibly universal. Children play it, adults play it, families play it. To pick up Minecraft is to instantly get that this is the real world, in block form. You'll understand everything instinctively until night falls and a creeper blows you up, at which point, well, you'll understand fear.
Online multiplayer means Minecraft is the most famous god sim to allow multiple gods to work together, which, given online play is the most effective way to meet new people and hate them immediately, could have been a recipe for e-vandalism and cruelty on a par with Second Life and World of Warcraft. But since 2011, people have formed teams to work on incredible scaled structures, including a working, miles-long Game Boy, the Starship Enterprise, the planet Earth, and how nice that you can have more than one god and they'll all get on with each other. Who knew?
Well, that's as close as we're ever going to get to making a political point on this show. But now, the hard question. What's more fun? Is it being the limitless creator of an environment with no threats to your health, or huddling in the darkness with a bit of flint, praying the spiders won't eat your face?
I much prefer survival mode because, let's face it, creative mode is for the weak.
In Minecraft, I just don't do very well in survival mode at all. I think I just don't work very well under pressure. So I can create something quite nice and I can put a lot of effort into doing what I'm doing. But as soon as you introduce any kind of threat or something like that, I just fall to pieces.
We're having a loft extension done, so what I like to do is while the builders are up there, just lob a brick up at their heads now and again, just to keep them on their toes. I think it's good training.
I like building stuff, so creative for me all the way. And I'm just fascinated by the people who seem to be pro builders on Minecraft. If you've ever gone on YouTube and just like typed best buildings of Minecraft March 2014, not even of all time, just March 2014, you'll see the best structures you've ever seen in your life.
I'm a survival Minecraft player because I think survival is much more like real life. Like in real life, you never really have the chance to create without time bearing down on you. You know, my whole life is based around creating towards deadlines. So yeah, for me, my editor's kind of like a creeper, but in real life. You probably won't appreciate that.
When I'm not doing this, I do stand-up for gamers, geeks and anime fans, just anyone who's ever been called weird and knows that that's actually a good thing. And I always ask, what's your favourite game? And Minecraft is the one that most young kids select, and it always warms my heart when they do because it's gentle and funny and actually creative.
It's also indie gaming's greatest success story. In 2009, a Swedish games maker with the nickname Notch builds a tiny game. In 2010, he makes a small company. In 2011, the company is so successful they turn down an investment from the creator of Napster.
Hey kids, if you don't know what a Napster was, it was a company formed specifically to upset members of Metallica. And oh, if you're too young for that, Metallica are just what happens when a midlife crisis owns a guitar.
And by 2012, that company Mojang ends up working with the United Nations on a project that sees online players assisting in the redevelopment of the Kibera neighbourhood, the largest urban slum in Africa.
That's what I mean by universal. When the United Nations knocks on your door and says, we can use your game to help us rebuild struggling communities, at that point you have to go, well, GTA's cool, but how many starving families did I help when I killed that hooker?
My only gripe with Minecraft is that it takes patience, and while creative mode gives the fidgety player the same great toy every God game does, big booms, big bada booms, it's never going to be a thriller-second thumbbuster, or tell you a story that you don't make up in your own head.
If you're into a set narrative and action, this game doesn't Schwarzenegger, you know, grab you by the wrist and go, come with me if you want to live. If that's what you want, there's always Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Godmother 3. I like guns and the colour grey, but love it or prefer something different, everyone will always end up with their own unique story about what happened during their first night in survival mode.
My first night surviving in Minecraft was, it was just digging a hole that was big enough to hold my body and then like placing a dirt block on top and just hiding like some sort of mole subterranean creature while I could hear all of the skeletons sort of walking on top of me. Waiting until I thought it was daylight and just like breaking it and realising it wasn't and having spiders flood in.
So I remember my first night in Minecraft quite well, because I remember, you know how the game keeps sort of saying, oh, night's coming, you've got to sort it out. So I did, I got all the planks and I got, you know, I made this lovely house with proper windows, lots of natural light. And then I realised I hadn't worked out how to light torches. So I was just in the dark. And in the end I managed to accidentally open the door, get attacked by a spider and fall in a hole.
The great thing about the first night is that it's that payoff between survival and wanting to make something that would fit into like grand designs by Kevin McLeod. I like to sneak out through the night and build a patio extension. It's like stealth home improvements. That's what I like doing. Grand design meets Dawn of the Dead.
Few games will end up feeling as personal as Minecraft does, because few games give you so many ways to play while giving you so little backstory. If you want to be Robinson Crusoe in a world without curves, or just the creator of the best universe of squares since Star Trek, you'll do no better.
It's real creativity from a small bunch of brains released so a whole planet of brains can enjoy it. And isn't that why people make games?
There's a certain romance attached to indie development. The idea that a small team with big ideas can succeed outside of the creatively stifling corporate ecosystem.
Total creative and financial independence is something any self-respecting game developer dreams of. There's certainly no questioning that Mojang's staggering success with Minecraft inspired its fair share of creators to ditch the 9-to-5 and pursue personal projects instead.
The reality, of course, is that realizing your vision can be an incredibly expensive, risky, and time-consuming process. But if it all comes together, the rewards can be great. One developer who knows this all too well is State of Play. This talented South London-based trio have spent the last 3 years working on their dream project, the dazzlingly gorgeous puzzle adventure, Lumino City.
I'm Luke Whitaker, and I'm the co-director and creative director of State of Play. The origins of State of Play go back to when I was freelance and I was making games independently, but I wanted to make bigger games. There was more that I wanted to do, and that's when Catherine got involved.
We just wanted a bit of independence and kind of make bigger and better games, and there was a few other people that sort of thought it was a good idea, and so we set up State of Play for that reason. State of Play is a really small team. There's 3 full-time permanent members of staff. I think the biggest benefit is that we are flexible.
We've never made games with 3D software or using the traditional software that you might make games or think of when you make games. I've loved the immediacy of getting something from the brain to hand, paper, and to the audience straight away. If I don't want to put too much technology in the way, because it makes things difficult to communicate, basically.
So last summer, Dan and Luke sort of took themselves off to Google Campus, and Dan came up with this idea of Kami.
I've always been interested in the game design, but Kami was my first opportunity to implement my own idea, and it was fun to have the time to try that out and make it a fun puzzle. And eventually we realised that showing it to our mates and challenging them was actually quite fun.
Lumino City is a puzzle adventure game that is all created out of paper, cardboard, miniature lights, motors, and that is basically the set for the game. You play a little character who moves through space called Lumi, and she works out and you work out how a lot of these machines work, and you have to do all sorts of interesting puzzles to get that world moving again. This was all filmed with a motion control arm, which is used all the time in Hollywood films, but for a small indie that's really expensive. So what we just had to work like crazy to make sure everything was in place, every option was in place on this.
Before we even started making the models, we actually made the entire game. We made it with rough sketches. It worked on the computer and the logic was there and most of the puzzles were there and the narrative and conversation was all in the game.
We had a storyboard that was multi-layered basically with the different options that you could do here. So sometimes the lights are on, sometimes the lights are off, and the motion camera would do that move twice. But it made for a multi-layered storyboard that we had to keep track of.
The rest of the process has been taking the footage from that model and almost like injecting it into this empty sketch version.
I think one of the things that you need if you're going to do this is actually to be able to live with a certain amount of uncertainty. I mean, I went in being freelance first. That gave me, you know, a grounding and a confidence in what I was doing. It's completely up to you, but it gives you amazing creative freedom and there's nothing else like it. To me, there's no other thing. There's no other option to do.
Trivia. Did you know that if you hit an object on television with a Minecraft pickaxe, it turns into a commercial break? Amazing.
You know, there's a saying, those who can't do, teach, and I feel like those who can't make games criticise them.
Welcome back. High def, high five. We've been talking Minecraft, the game where the options are unlimited, but if you want to cosplay it, you just put a cardboard box on your head and you can be any character, object, or a really lazy solid snake, or the world's worst pyramid head. Time now to broaden the mind, expand the horizons, and talk about creativity in gaming. And while we're here, why not go and download Cat Mario, the game that's so inventive it hides how fun it is. Here's the panel.
Personally, I'm not a massive fan of being creative within games, basically because I am quite lazy. And I'm not a game developer, I'm not very good at it. So I don't want to design my own game, I want someone else to do that for me, really. You know, there's a saying, those who can't do, teach, and I feel like those who can't make games criticise them.
Games demand and allow gamers to have incredible creativity. Character designs in sports, been playing a lot of NBA 2K15, my character Boogie Smokes, but I don't have much imagination in terms of character design. I try and make people look like me, which is pretty boring. I've got to A, get out more, and B, sort of expand my own horizons. And this isn't a great thing to model yourself on. It's all right, 7 out of 10, but I could have a man with a massive beard.
Character customization in the games is actually something that I enjoy getting plonked in for a couple of hours, and you know, I'll put a lot of effort into my character, like especially in stuff like wrestling games. Like I remember like at uni putting so much effort into our sort of WWE characters and like the way they walk into the ring and stuff like that.
Little Big Planet, they always thought that the creative element of that would be a very small part of it. They thought they'd have this tiny little minority of gamers making maps for that game, but you know, within like a year they had like 1 million maps online of Little Big Planet. So people are desperate to kind of stunt their mark on games.
I think for me, sort of as far as I go in terms of creativity in games is with character customization, which I do enjoy very much, particularly if the games involve animals. Like Tokyo Jungle, for example, is one of my favourite games, because in that game you can like take a beagle and give it a woolly jumper, a pink shower cap and heart-shaped sunglasses. And I think that's hilarious. I'm 36. But I think even character customization in games is, you know, it's getting better, but it's still pretty limited sometimes. I read a funny tweet the other day where someone said, oh, I love customization because you can dress your white man in thousands of different hats. So yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more diversity in the actual characters as well as the different outfits they can wear.
I think my favourite creative outlet has always been Gary's mod on PC, which basically originally it took all of the assets from Half-Life, all the models, and just allowed you to use them in a sandbox, place them wherever you wanted, put them in ridiculous poses. But then as it developed, it turned into something more complex, and you could build like special machines with cogs and your own game modes and stuff, and that just really blew up. And that's been around for, I don't know, over 7 years, I think, and it's still going strong. That for me is like one of the most creative things on PC.
But I think being a twisted, malevolent, misanthropic presence in the world, I kind of really like things like Civilization. I love to construct like whole races that are fundamentally built around military might. I love like building worlds which are essentially just enormous armies and kind of like working out what's the most efficient way I can destroy everyone else on this planet. So yeah, it's probably a good job that I am a games writer and not a politician.
I think creativity is the future of gaming. You know, I think that years ago there was a whole generation of kids, my generation and generation before me, and we grew up playing games like Super Mario Brothers. You know, where running and jumping and shooting things, that was what games were. That's what we learned them to be. And so, you know, my generation have grown up into the next generation of developers, and what do we see? We see games that are all about running and jumping and shooting. And I think this generation of kids right now, there's a whole, you know, there's millions of 8-year-olds right now playing Minecraft, and that's their Super Mario Brothers. That's their game that is their entry point to gaming.
You know, I'm not very creative myself, but obviously lots of people are, and I think it's great that games are now providing an outlet for people who are interested in designing and customising their own game worlds. Because if you like, it's possible that games that we're playing today are actually creating the developers of tomorrow.
Modding has always been a really important part of games. You know, there's always been people who have loved games and have wanted to be a part of that process. And yeah, I mean, we're already seeing that, and we have been seeing it for the last 20 years. Like, for example, Team Fortress, the famous Half-Life multiplayer game, was made by modders who then became part of the Valve team. And you know, I don't think there's a first-person shooter developer around now that doesn't have in its staff modders who have worked on levels for their games. I think the whole barrier between designers and gamers is just gonna collapse.
According to its official site, Minecraft is a game about breaking and placing blocks. I'd like to amend that slightly to Minecraft is a game about breaking and placing blocks that has enraptured millions, generated billions of Swedish krona, and inspired mountains of merchandise from t-shirts and toys to best-selling books and dedicated Lego sets. It's not quite as catchy, I'll admit.
Created by Swedish studio Mojang and first released to the public in 2009, Minecraft rapidly escalated from indie curio into a full-blown global phenomenon.
But why? How? With its blocky, primitive graphics and absence of hand-holding, Minecraft is everything that major games publishers would have us believe players don't want. So what's the secret?
It's pretty simple. Many games promise players total freedom, yet few, if any, have delivered quite as Minecraft has. Let's face it, before Minecraft, the average so-called sandbox game was really just a playground of free-form destruction. But Minecraft's playground is one fueled by imagination, collaboration, and creation.
And just like the Lego it now inspires, Minecraft's limitless potential continues to capture the hearts and minds of children, both young and old.
It's also proved to be hugely inspirational for developers. Naturally, there's a fair number of lazy imitators, but others have channeled its creative spirit in far more inventive ways. The two-dimensional world of Terraria is definitely worth digging into, and there's cause to be hugely excited for upcoming RPG creator Adventure Box and the wildly ambitious Planet Cube.
But it's going to be a while before anything challenges Minecraft's dominance. If not in terms of revenue and merchandise, then certainly from a cultural standpoint.
Minecraft's impact should not be underestimated. It's quite possibly done more to alter negative perceptions of our beloved medium than any game before or since. Take Minecraft EDU for example. This Mojang-approved school-ready remix was created by teachers and is now used to facilitate education in over 40 countries.
How many other games can you name that have been adapted to help teach children the wonders of history, language, and art? Apart from Mario's Time Machine, obviously.
And it doesn't end there. Minecraft is also being employed by a number of individuals and charitable organizations to aid people with physical and developmental disabilities.
Like this one.
Special Effects' mission statement is to put fun and inclusion back into the lives of people with physical disabilities by helping them to play video games. I chatted to Mark Saville to find out how they're achieving that and what part Minecraft plays in their work.
Our aim is to help people of all ages and all disabilities to benefit from video games just like anybody else would. There's a lot of technology out there that's already existing, assistive technology like eye gaze, like adapted switches, like chin joysticks, like voice controls. Our role is to try and piece together the right combination that would suit a particular individual's abilities. Minecraft has got perhaps a greater number of controls in it than many other games. So for us it's a challenge to enable all the features that Minecraft has, but what we can do is use a combination of techniques to do that. We can use a combination of finger switches, foot switches, chin joysticks, head switches, eye gaze and voice commands to help children and people of all ages to enjoy the game to its fullest extent. We use eye gaze within Minecraft to allow the person playing to look around. And that way they can get really involved in the game, and it means that there's one less physical action with the rest of the body that they actually have to do. So it means it frees up any other abilities they have to do things like to mine or to build. We've had a couple of children recently that we've helped play Minecraft, and the big difference that we've seen when we've enabled them to even do the simplest actions like look around, to move forward and to jump, is that it means that they can join in with their siblings and they can join in with their friends, and just to see that happening where it wasn't happening before, I think is a fantastic thing.
Minecraft has also proved to be the perfect environment for children with ADHD and ASD, as evidenced by Aptocraft. Aptocraft is a dedicated Minecraft server hosted by Amanda Osborne, a self-confessed non-gamer who is inspired to create a safe, supportive space for her autistic son, Callum. Aptocraft's goal is to allow Callum and children like him to express their creative side and develop their social skills in a non-judgmental space. Good manners, politeness, and helpfulness are rewarded in a monthly awards ceremony, giving the kids an incentive to rein in any disruptive tendencies. By encouraging good behavior in Minecraft's virtual world, Aptocraft has led to behavioral improvements in the real world too. Not only that, but some of the children on the server have learned to read and write, improve their communication skills, and even discover the joys of role-playing.
In Minecraft, the gaming world has something to be incredibly proud of. It's transcended the boundaries of what most people believe games to be capable of, and in the process has inspired, educated, and supported those in need. For a game that's simply about breaking and placing blocks, that's quite the achievement.
That's all for this week. We hope you had a good time in the world of building blocks and unbridled creativity. Talk to us. Tweet at us at #VGM. And remember, despite what happens in Minecraft, nighttime is nothing to be afraid of. If I survive this, I'll see you next week.
Thank you.